it's I guess
Yeah,
I feel like it's a big step backwards, and it's just not the way we were looking to go. I
yeah.
pulled up this forum thread though, and the 5 things I said were to revert the slide speed and speed boost. And
Okay.
personally, if I was being selfish, I would actually want both of those slower. Like I'd want the speed boost out of the game, but with the speed boost out of the game, I'd want to just revert the slide speed because you're already taking something more away from other movements. So I'd want the slide speed to actually stay like at the old reverted speed.
Okay.
Um, and then but I said revert slide speed, revert speed boost,
Yep.
keep the strafe speed and roadie run speed increase because before this update, before San Diego, I did feel like there was a lack of personality in gunfights. I felt
So
like
hold on,
the
let me pause you right there because I want everybody to
okay,
be clear on it. So going back to number one on the reverse slide speed and speed boost is that just explain like in the numbers that you want it to be reverted back to the point that when you up A, you're not getting any boost whatsoever. That it's the same speed in which you went at it with, right?
uh, well, there's a speed boost before this too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's just going back to the old numbers. So let's say
Okay.
like
Just
with
what?
this
Okay.
update, they increased everything to like 650. Let's say both numbers are 650, and before this they were 630 or something, or 620 or 600, whatever the hell it was. Um, like I want them to go back to that old number. Let's say it's 650. Before it was 600. Like I want them to go back to 600,
Okay.
but reduce those numbers, and they don't give us numbers. So like let's say they dropped it back down. That's what I
Gotcha.
want them to do there. So like make it what it was before San Diego. And the reason for that is because I don't feel like that was the problem. I feel like they're trying to like I don't know if it's unorganically, inorganically create something in the game
Mm-hmm.
that is just going to actually make the game worse, which it has. And then my other points are doing things that make the game more individually unique. So
So yeah, like point two.
before so point two is keep the strafe speed increases and the roadie run speed increase and the shot out of the roadie run increase. And the reason for wanting to keep those is because I feel like there's room to grow individually in
Okay.
gears. You want people to be able to go into a rank game and individually outplay, people on the other team. If you have a 1v1, you should
Mm-hmm.
feel like you can individually outplay people in like a Gears of War way. Like,
And,
because right now you can make the
in order
argument.
to individually outplay people, you want to be able to have just a bag full of tactics that you can
Yeah, there's
use.
tools you need to be able to use, and right now I feel like those tools, like that, the toolbox you have is very limited
Okay.
with
Yep.
even how it was before the update. Right now, they added a tool, they added a hammer into your toolbox and said just go run at them and throw hammers, smack them, whatever it is. Like that's what they did now, and I feel like they need to take that hammer away and give you more tools, give you more things to work with. So that's to keep the strafe
and,
speed
and
increase, roadie running
yep.
increase.
And
And
so
then
the
my
hammer is
third
the wall
point.
bounce in your face, right? Is that the hammer?
Yeah, exactly. The hammer is
Okay.
the wall bounce in your face. And the third point I put in there was to actually it's with the roadie run shooting. I said that how in Gears 1 you could roadie run and shoot instantly, like right out of the roadie
Yeah,
run. You
come
could
out. Yeah,
shoot
because
while roadie
you were
running.
ducking shot.
And yep, I actually said that they as a tactic for like an aggressive or a defensive player because it's used both ways. I'm a defensive player and I know if I
Yep.
could roadie run and shoot fast, I can use that defensively. I actually said they should experiment with making that even faster than what they have it now. Like,
Mm.
consider
Mm.
going to a point where you allow somebody to shoot almost instantly out of their roadie run because if it's done the right way,
Yeah.
it's not going to be this like if people aren't running at the speed of light and shooting instantly out of a roadie run, it's not going to be a bad thing. It's going to be something that you can see the thought process and what somebody is going for.
Well, the
It's
question
going
is,
to be something
what's
that's
the worst that can
tactical.
happen? What's the worst that can happen if that goes down? Because
The
it's just.
worst that can happen is somebody actually just runs at you and chunks you right out of like he's just roading
Well,
running at
see,
you
But
and
he's in
chunks you
open.
out of
But
the
he's
roadie
in the
run.
open, right?
trade-off then.
But that's the thing is that like in close ranges, I feel like in close ranges, like you said, you can use it, offensively if you want to, and you can also use it defensively. But technically, if we're playing a third person cover based shooter where we're using team tactics and where the pace of the game is slower, if he's in the open like that, he should be getting crossed. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's what I
He
mean.
should
Like
be
there's
getting crossed.
the trade-off is
Theoretically, he should be getting
positioning and you can
crossed.
outplay it. Yeah, you can outplay that very easily in like pre-update, like pre-San Diego update, like you could outplay that heavily. And like it's allowing somebody to roadie run and shoot out of it is just something, again, like I just like that's just throwing another tool in the bag. That's what I'm trying to get in there. Like, all right, get the screwdriver in there. That's the screwdriver. Just chuck that in, and
Hmm.
that's part of what I'm trying to go for. Point four was something else that comes from that gear. This is coming from like that Gears 1 video. Remember the thing that guy posted? Like
Yeah.
these ideas are coming from that Gears 1 video. Another thing, like the fourth point, is making rolling sideways and rolling backwards like something you could shoot faster out of, because it's like, I feel like, to me, if you roll forward or diagonally, like front left or front right, like that's a misroll. Like you're not meaning to
Yeah.
like use that aggressively. Like
I
head
remember in
downing at
Gears
somebody.
One, I used to use it as a tactic sometimes, just because
Yep, exactly. It was
as an offensive tactic. Now that I think
it was
about it.
even a thing in Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3. There's something, and it was primarily said when I was on a team with Praise, Fran, and Soto, but like we used to call it, and actually I think it was even said when I teamed with like Shane
Hmm.
back in Gears 3 also, that the back roll was called the championship back roll. Like you back roll and you shoot because people wouldn't be able to close the distance on you
Yeah.
like fast
Yep.
enough, so you'd get another
Yep.
shot out rather than getting 4-pointed, right? Or like getting 4-point or getting killed. You might get 4-pointed, but you'll 4-point them, and like that's then your teammate can shoot down the person for you.
And it makes
Consider
it
a
hard. And
championship back roll.
it's harder for them to close the gap, right? And so,
Exactly.
but also what we need to take into account is that those players also understood that at the high level that I cannot sit back in my current situation and I have to push the fight because this is my I'm recognizing that this is the best opportunity that I have for my team, and that was something that was always hard for Gears players to clarify and understand and take those moments.
They
So
used to separate good players from
that
great players.
separated
It's
good
just,
players from great players, knowing that I have to go fight. But continue.
and then so it's like shooting
Championship
faster.
back road.
Yeah, so like so if you roll front left, forward, or front right, that to me is considered a misroll. Like you're head rolling at somebody. That's a misroll. Like make it as exactly how it is now. Like
Hmm.
that should be the most punishable roll. Like similar to Gears 1. Like their head comes all the way up before that's not how it is right now. But like it's the closest to the Gears 1 punishable roll.
Yeah.
Um, And then I feel like if you roll left, right, or like back or back left or back right, you should be able to use those tactically. You should be able to shoot faster out of them. And granted, some people will misroll sideways, but I still feel like for the sake of adding another tool to the box, I
Hmm.
would rather there be the like not the rare scenario, but the scenario where like somebody does side roll, comes out of it, and shoots quick enough to get a kill, than like take that tool or like make that tool unusable, you know? So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is I would rather allow people to roll sideways or backwards and shoot faster out of it as an aggressive or defensive tactic
Okay.
than not allow them to do that, so that people can add another like individual
So they can
outplayability.
make the choice. They can make the choice how they want to
Exactly.
use it. But it's the fact is that the choice is there, but also the player understands too. Whether if you're on the defensive side of that what he can do, and so you have to
Exactly.
be smarter on how you approach the fight. And like,
Yep.
yep,
And that was point four. And then point five I think is something that's not discussed enough. And I think it's discussed kind of, but it's not discussed as much in this game because people feel like the starting weapons, the Lancer, shotgun, pistol, are all really good.
mm-hmm,
Um, but I actually think that like we need to relook at the rifles in Gears 5, because I feel like this is why this conversation is coming up to begin with. I feel
okay,
like the first 4 points are about movement, but really the reason why ranked people or ranked players, and I'm like technically all three of us in here are ranked players as well. Every
yeah,
player that competes is also a ranked player. We want to be able to play ranked too. I shouldn't be fighting myself to get on ranked, and I feel like part of
ugh.
what deters people from wanting to play ranked outside of the ranked issues is the fact that everybody knows this. If you queue into a King of the Hill, you're getting Lancered the fuck out. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just is what it is, and it's just one step worse for somebody who people know in the community, because I just go into a ranked game, I get Lancered out, and I get humped the
Yeah.
entire time. That's all that happens to me. So it's hard for me to want to do that. But my fifth point was reducing the damage on rifles, not just the Lancer, but all of the rifles, kind of like what happened to the Marksa,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that or like create a recoil pattern for rifles, kind of like in a Counter Strike kind of way, to where there's more of a skill gap with using the rifles. And if you slowed down the movement, gave individuals more tools with the movement and shotgunning, and then you either reduce the damage or you made using rifles harder, like players will then find that you can still use the rifle and beam people down who are just trying to run at you with a shotgun and be aggressive, or if you're the aggressive player, you still can
Yeah.
outplay these rifles and outplay people in the ranked. Again, all I'm talking about here is increasing the skill gap of the game in its entirety. And I think right now, all of the rifles, the retro lance, like no, everything besides the Marks. I think the Marks is actually the only well-tuned
The
like
Markset
rifle
has the
right
Markset
now.
has a decent recoil pattern on it. I want
Yeah.
to say already, but you want to make sure that the recoil pattern is stricter on the other guns
Yeah, I
and bring
wanna-
bring
I
the
wanna
damage
make
down
sure.
as well. Make the pattern stricter.
Yeah, whatever it
bring
is,
the
if it's a
damage
combination,
down
if it's one or
with
the
a
other,
combination of
it's
slowing
both.
the game down.
Yeah, it's if we're gonna slow the game down, the only way we're gonna be able to do this is if we don't have guns that are overpowered. And I
Okay.
feel like with the start of Gears 5, like if before the Marks are revert, the Lancer was strong, then the Lancer still is strong. The Lancer's strong, the Hammerburst is strong. The Hammerburst is ridiculous. The retro, I was using the retro yesterday. Retro is
Mhm.
ridiculous as well. The Marks at the start of the game was ridiculous. It just had a bigger cry out for people, like for us.
And it
competitive
seems
gamers
like
to
the
nerf
way
it.
that so it seems like those been kind of getting balanced by the pace in a sense, right? Allowing players to move more away from the damage rather than slowing the players down and making the damage more acceptable to the pace.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You had me until that moment, Kenny. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What do you mean? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
you're a
had me the
rifle
first-
player.
You had me in the first half, man. You had me in the first half, and I said, "Damn, man, he took my Lancer from me. What the hell? What's wrong with him?"
Look, if you watch me when I play, I'm a big Lancer player too. That's all I do for the most part. And
I like the